So, if you're new to my classes, one of the really important things that I stress is that social media marketing should actually be pretty simple. There are courses that you can take for $400, $500 that are going to tell you how to maximize the number of followers that you get, or how to game the system and try and get engagement that makes your profile look really popular. And that is not at all what this class is about. So, if you're looking for a quick fix that doesn't actually solve anything long term, this is not the class for you. This class is going to teach you about how to develop skills and develop a feed that consistently brings in followers that aren't random, followers that are looking specifically for you and that are excited to hear from you. So, the first thing we're going to talk about today in terms of standing out in a crowded field is good pictures. So, you probably know this already that good pictures are important on social media. But I have to tell you, about 80% of the time when I do social media audits, the number one feedback that I have for my clients is that they need to improve their pictures. Now, your pictures don't have to be perfect. If you have a luxury brand, then you're going to want your pictures to be really good. You're going to want to partner with a professional photographer or really up your photography game, which you can also take Skillshare classes for that. But if you have just a sort of a mid-range brand, then you don't have to have perfect, gorgeous pictures. What you do have to have is crisp, clear pictures that tell a story. So when I say tell a story, you need to think about, as you're taking pictures, what are you trying to say with those pictures? Are you trying to show a detail of your product or service? Are you showing people how they could be used, like a functional sort of how you can, different ways that you can wear a scarf? Or are you showing people the lifestyle aspect of your product or service? Are you showing them something that's aspirational and that they're really excited about? And that how to wear your scarf like as a sarong on the beach, for example. So you want to think about, as you're taking pictures, whether you're taking them or whether you're working with a photographer to get a set of pictures taken, you want to think about your actual purpose for those photos. One of the things that a lot of businesses forget is that you actually have a really amazing set of subjects within your staff, whether it's you or you have 10 staff or 100 staff. Those are really great things to take pictures of. So you can take pictures of your staff, just headshots. You can take pictures of your staff working. It's awesome to take pictures of your staff actually making the products, because that gives the client or the customer like insight into how things are made, and it gets them excited about the process, and it really shows how, like, who's making it and that it's local or made in the USA. So definitely utilize the resources that you have. So you have staff that you can take pictures of, products. If you're a service-based business, you can literally set up your camera on a tripod and get some pictures of yourself at your desk, or you can ask a friend to have a phone meeting and get pictures of you sort of interacting with a client. There's a lot of different ways to get good pictures. And again, they don't have to be great, but what they do have to be is as crisp and clear and somewhat consistent. So I recommend that when you have a product-based business, that you only use customer shots that interact really nicely with your current feed. So if you have a customer and they send you like a kind of that shitty picture, sorry for my language, if they send you a crappy picture of them wearing your jewelry, well, you don't want to put that on your feed, because it's going to sort of disrupt the flow of the feed and the vibe and the sort of the spirit that you've set up the feed with. So I recommend, when you get pictures like that, customer pictures that aren't good enough quality to share on your feed, share them in your stories. It's a really great use of stories. But customers often like it when you share their pictures. I always ask first before I ever share a customer's picture, and because you want to make sure that you have their consent. But sharing to stories is a great way to say thank you to them for sharing it, but not putting it on your feed if it's going to disrupt those images. So you want to utilize photography to really showcase the full breadth of your product or your service. So from like the smallest detail to the sort of most aspirational. You want to think about all of the different elements. And one of the things that I encourage my clients to do is think about the frequently asked questions. So if you often get feedback that says, oh, when I opened this box, it was smaller than I expected, or I read the dimensions and I knew that it was 7 inches tall, but when I got it, it still seemed small. Well, you can utilize your photography to give people context for size and dimensions. Or if people say, oh, well, this was heavier than I thought, or it was squishier than I thought, or softer than I thought, then you can use photos to actually sort of remind people of the shape and size of your product. So you can use things for scale. So you can, if people comment on how big it is, you can put it next to something that's a standard size, like a coffee mug or a ball jar, or like a pen, a journal, things like that. And then if people comment on the texture, then you can maybe shoot little videos of you touching the item and sort of showing them how much like squish there is to the product, or bend or twist. And so I have a friend who makes jewelry, and she does this amazing series of videos where she shows how stretchy her bracelets are by really pulling on them hard, and says, these are really good at withstanding sort of a lot of beating up. And it's a really popular video that she does, because it shows people something really important about the product that maybe they wouldn't have gotten from like a product description. So you want to make sure that your pictures and as well as your images. So if you're making images in Canva or Photoshop, that your pictures and your images have somewhat of a consistent tone, so they don't have to all be the same. I've seen really beautiful accounts that everything looks the same. It's super boring, like it's beautiful, but it's boring. You don't want it to be like that. So you want to have some consistency to your photos and your images. I encourage people to pick a couple of colors that they like to use. So for example, my favorite color is yellow. You can see it sort of over to the side there, and then up there as well. And then my hair is pink. So a lot of yellow and pink show up in my social media feed, as well as green, because when I use images in Canva, I like to use sort of leaves and nature. So green, yellow, and pink are the colors that show up frequently for me. For some people, it might be black and white with a pop of red, or it might be just sort of pastels might be their sort of color palette. I talk a little bit about how photos should be crisp and bright, but if you have like a really dark, moody product or service, like you do tarot, or you do sort of mystical jewelry, then you don't want things to be bright and crisp. You want them to be dark and moody. And so you can use something like Lightroom or Canva to get your pictures to look like that, if they don't naturally look like that when you take them.